Get it?
Got it. We good.
All right.
Episode 22 in the 22th year of our Lord.
Is it 22?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering there, because I was like,
Yeah.
done so many of these.
Well, hello guys. It's Guardians, Gals. It's Xcalion and Batsam for the Speaker podcast, and super excited. Decent twab this week, going over
About
some
time.
of the, yeah, for real. Going over some of the sandbox changes for next season. So that's exciting. We find out some big things. Big things included one big detail that's got Sam kind of.
That's just that's exciting for me.
That's exciting. I mean, I'm excited about that too. Honestly, like that's gonna make master lost sectors easy.
But honestly, it shows like in the future that could just be like intrinsically for everything. So it opens up a new world of possibilities, honestly.
For real.
And I'm excited to see what they do with it moving forward. But that's just us bantering. So
Yep.
yes, today was actually a bit of a meatier twab than the last couple weeks have been. We've kind of just been waiting around for some decent news, and this definitely seems to be some decent news. Part of this has already happened. They mention here in a minute, we're going to read through, but part of this stuff was moved into the middle of the season just because so much stuff required work, and there was so much feedback negatively on airborne efficiency that they had to immediately kind of implement some changes and some reworks. So this is the last half of that moving into this next season, and it makes me excited for what's going to happen next week, because they should be talking a bit more, and we'll have that new showcase coming up very soon.
Yep. It's I'm stoked. We are 10 days away from the showcase that he's talking about. I'm super stoked. This week at Bungie, 8/11/22, we have sandbox updates. Happy Twabs Day, Guardians. First off, how's it already the second week in August? Secondly, are we almost in to the next season? Good news is you still have time to wrap up your seasonal title. I'm only missing one more triumph, and I think about what we're going to wear for Arc 3.0. I can't choose between Geomag Stabilizers and Crown of Tempest, but sound off on socials.
So that statement right there makes me excited. That means potentially Chaos Reach will have a big presence, and maybe they won't have broken it. So let's hope. Maybe we get some justice for the Warlock mains out there.
I mean, Kamehameha is definitely sticking around. It's not going.
Oh, I know it's going to be sticking around.
Yeah.
If they would have fixed it by now.
Because
honestly, I'm excited to see what they do with Thunder Crash.
It's been so interesting because it was so nice with Void 3.0 having the ability to use invisible dodge and smoke on the same subclass. And the same thing I know for Warlocks being able to air dodge while using Well of Radiance.
So nice.
And the same thing's going to be that's middle tree arc for Warlock is so cool because of the super regeneration you get from the trails that come back to you. I can't remember what those are called, but
the ion traces.
Yeah, the ion traces. Whenever you kill something and the ion traces come back to you, that's all super cool. I'm sure that'll be built into it as well.
We can only hope, really. We can only speculate about stuff.
Can only speculate. But we'll get deeper into this mofo. Hello, Snipe. How are you, sir? I see you in that chat. All right, weapons and things. First up, we're going to jump right into sandbox changes, so let me hand it over to one of our associate designers on the sandbox team, Mercules. Hello, everyone. We moved a good bit of the balance changes from Season 18 forward to the mid-season patch of Season 17. So, this will be a bit lighter of a weapons sandbox twab than usual. That being said, there are still some changes we're really excited about, so let's dive in. Buffed some underutilized weapon archetypes, scout rifles and heavy GLs in PvE, high-impact auto rifles, lightweight bows. Buffed multiple perks, fixed some bugged perks, and updated some perk descriptions to be more accurate. Buffed multiple exotic weapons, added intrinsic anti-champion functionality to some, reworked a couple of exotic weapons whose functionality was causing issues, updated the perk pools for Dares of Eternity weapons, and gave them a new origin trait. So,
that all right there.
That's juicy.
That's plenty. And honestly, so just before we even get into this, dissecting the different parts of it. First, scout rifles, excellent. Very excited because there's a reason why I'm excited for scout rifles, and they fixed the heavy impact auto rifles. Two of my favorite weapons in the game fall under those categories. If they ever bring back the forge weapons, ringing nail falls into that category, and so does no feelings. Two amazing feeling weapons that are going to be affected by this change if they get brought back soon.
I still have them in my vault. Both
as do I. I bring them both out every now and then to play with them. Funny enough, heavy grenade launchers, I almost never see anyone use them.
Ever since Anarchy got the nerf.
Yeah, but even before that, like, the only time I saw people use legendary ones was Wendigo.
Yeah.
And that was kind of it. Otherwise, it was prospected for some damage on different things, and then if you wanted to be a troll, you use Colony. Otherwise, that's an archetype that they probably could just kind of sweep under the rug and be done with. It's not a very widely used thing, and I mean that's why they're trying to address that issue here, but
yeah,
it's having breach loaders are so much better.
Yeah. There's a couple of things, I think that you can make an argument for keeping like maybe some of the exotic ones and kind of doing away with some of the legendary ones,
Sure.
There used to be some really cool things you could do with Prospector back in the day.
Yeah.
Prospector was cool.
You just dump the magazine.
Yeah, just dump the magazine. Of course, Colony really only useful for PvP, really.
Yeah, and it's not super viable for GMs.
Yeah.
It could be viable just to kind of go ahead and play around in the world just because it's fun for killing ads, but it's honestly, I could see it as a gambit weapon.
Yeah, potentially.
It's a mixture of both, but you'd be giving up an exotic slot for something that's mediocre at best.
Right. And then of course Anarchy. Anarchy got its usage reduced. It got the hammer. Well, not really. I kind of, but
it going from 12 to 6 rounds.
Yeah.
That crushed it.
Yeah.
Because ammo economy is one thing, especially for raids or GMs or just literally anything. The best season ever. Still, like the best season that I've played, because I didn't get to play during the season of the Forge, but the best season was when they had the damaging perks, like the weakened perks for
the grenade launcher
GLs, and Anarchy was just supreme.
It was a
magical time.
And Anarchy was always so useful. It frustrated a lot of people because back then they said, "Oh, it can't be good at DPS and ad clear. That can't do both."
Yeah.
So we're gonna nerf it. Okay. But here's Witherhoard. Here you go. You can have that.
Yep.
It's a special version, so you can just hang on to that. So frustrated everybody.
One round in the chamber.
I know.
One round in the chamber.
I get that. But with auto loading.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Shut up.
No, so I know we've seen some pretty cool Anarchy has been bugged this season back to doing great damage to strike bosses.
It chunks things down really good.
Yeah. But again, I think that's a damage bug or whatever it does.
Yes, but it's still not viable for the end game content, which is what we'd be looking at. We've been running a lot of GMs these last 2 weeks, and the rocket launcher meta is king right now. Yeah. Get one galley and a couple rockets, and we've chunked down bosses.
That's what I've seen a lot of people suggest, myself included. We've seen a lot of weapons that had previously been nerfed get catalysts that make them more useful, more better. So I would like to see, and it's not. I'm surprised. I'm like Anarchy's not getting like an anti-champion buff or anything like that, but I would like to see them give it a catalyst that makes it a little more useful than.
What if it just brought it back up to the 12 rounds?
Even
okay,
but if you bring it back up, I don't know. I don't know. To me, that seems redundant. Maybe give it some of the ammo back, but then like also give it auto loading or something like that. I don't know.
That'd be too broken. Like if you're gonna, so the idea behind a catalyst is to make it more viable than what it was without it. It was already at peak performance with 12 rounds, and if you take it away, it has to.
I know.
So just giving it 12 rounds back, sure, that's a pretty crappy catalyst, but to a gun that was already god tier. Yeah.
But the point is, Anarchy is arc. next season is going to synergize around Arc. We haven't seen, it's been a few seasons now since we've seen like grenade launcher champion stuff or buffs or anything. So I would expect whatever, was it Breach and Clear? Is that what it was called? I can't remember. Breach and Clear. It'll be back at some point. I would assume that or something else. But I would love to see Anarchy get, a nice little rework, but it's not in this TWAB. I hate to say it. But it is going to benefit from a heavy GL buff across the board, as we'll see in a bit. So
the biggest concern, one last thing before we move on, the biggest concern with all the things that are getting catalysts and different things is power creep. You nerf stuff down to kind of bring it in with the meta, but then you release new things that are super powerful. You forget about the old stuff, kind of like how Rat King. I doubt Anarchy will ever actually go away, but Legend of Accurious or just there's been a number of exotics that for the period of time they came out at, they were phenomenal, and then they got power crept, and some of them got catalysts to bring them back in the meta. Some of them, the catalysts didn't do as much, and they're still on the wayside.
Right.
Without a substantial buff, they're not coming back to meta, and you're in this like flowing chart of just like, all right, nerf to catalyst to meta to nerf again, and then you have to go back around to the circle. It's like you got to pick part of the flow chart to work with.
Yeah, well, it's like, and I'll give you a little example. I don't think it's any argument the best trace rifle in the game is Divinity. So useful, does so many cool things, and
viable
everywhere, and about a year after that, after we had Divinity, we got the I can't remember what the thing is called now, but it's the void one that makes the spheres that you slam. Ruinous Effigy, and like that came out, and guess what?
That was good for the season.
Nobody's used it since that season. Like nobody. Like you can look at the usage numbers. Every now and then, one or two people like to meme with it, and that's about it. People get a lot. The legendary trace rifles get quite a bit of usage because it doesn't take an exotic slot, and they're pretty handy. Like I've got the Halo looking one or whatever from 30th anniversary with subsistence and it might be I can't remember if it's fringy or what, but anyways, basic golden tricorn subsistence golden tricorn. That thing just it stays full. It's good damage. It's awesome. Things like that make other things totally unnecessary, totally unusable, and that's why. And I don't like it. I really don't like it. Anarchy was probably my favorite PvE weapon to use, and it got the ban hammer because nobody would use anything else. So
they want to change up metas, and we're going to continue to see that. Honestly, that's how game design works. You have to find a way to kind of bring people out of the rut they're stuck in, get them to try something new, get them to play ball with you, and eventually cycle back to that content. And they do an alright job with it. Some of these buffs definitely help. For instance, having a bunch of weapons with the intrinsic perk for doing champions, that's wonderful. So why don't we get into that and see what kind of weapons are getting these kinds of buffs?
What kinds, I wonder?
Well, I mean, some of them are good, some of them are better than others, but
Moving on. Global changes fixed an issue introduced in the 30th anniversary update that caused too much heavy ammo to drop when running double special weapons. Several weapon stats were previously hidden, which made fully evaluating weapons difficult. Airborne effectiveness, recoil direction, zoom, and aim assist are now visible on the weapon inspection screens. Here we go, moving on to weapon archetypes.
Quick caveat, all these changes are coming next season. Like, the season happening in 10 days, all of these changes will be implemented then.
Yes.
So if you go looking for their airborne accuracy stuff, you're not going to see it right now.
It's not yet. Very soon. Scout rifles, we felt like they could use a bit of love in PvE. Increase the damage of all scout rifles versus minor enemies in PvE by 10%. The changes in addition to the baseline damage buff given in the Solstice balance patch. Decent. I do like scout rifles. They make GMs a little bit more safe because you can play
at that range,
and you can challenge all those dreadful snipers.
All that and all the exotic ones and now have that additional boost because they already got a 30% buff to red bars. Now this is an extra 10%, so it's an extra 40%, meaning some of these fast firing ones are gonna be a bit more viable. Like what's that solar one that you use all the time? With the perfect shot on it. Polaris Lance.
Oh, Bay. Her name is Bay, by the way. Sniper. Is that for real, dude? He says on the good news, Divinity does destroy glaive shields in PvP. Is that for real?
Okay, interesting.
Well, I asked. It's like I'm asking Sam, like for Sam to give me some feedback there. Is that for real, Sam?
I have no idea. Mostly because I do not use glaives or
PvP.
Yeah, I do not PvP very well.
Okay, I'm gonna have to use. I'm okay.
Try that out later.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna have to. Okay, thank you, Sniper. We're gonna have to play later, bro. All right, moving on. High impact 360 RPM autos. The subfamily of auto rifles has good damage output but low ease of use, leading them to underperform compared to other options in the same engagement ranges. Increased base stability stat of all non-sunset high impact auto rifles by 6 to 12, depending on the weapons. Numerically, this may seem like a small change, but it noticeably changes the feel of the weapons. I'm sure it does. That's the one thing you got to say about the high impacts. They're fun to use, but they're chonky boys, right? You're just doing like chunks, ticks of damage. It's crazy, but they're really hard to control.
It definitely feels good in your hands though, because you're seeing the damage numbers come up that are way stronger than the other ones. It wasn't until like the non-hunger meta did that start becoming a more popular trend of not using the overpowered ones, because I actually still have a couple of high impact ones. I'm like, I don't know, they don't feel good anymore. And they definitely leaned heavily into the lightweight frames and stuff, but we're seeing a resurgence of this, which is exciting.
Yeah, I have that, what I used in the raid last week when we did our DSC, my Herod C that I got from Gambit. It's got the Demolitionist on it. Such a clean scope. It's so nice. Knowing that it's going to be a little bit more stable is that excites me. That's one of my favorite guns to use right now. Moving on, lightweight bows. This subfamily has languished compared to the higher damage counterparts for some time, in part due to difficulty hitting perfect draw shots, so we've made it a bit easier. Reduced base draw time by 5% from 612 milliseconds to 580 milliseconds. Increased the perfect draw window, how long you can hold the drawn bow before you begin to lose accuracy and damage. Stability modifies this window. Oh, that's interesting. Stability modifies this window.
Yeah, so the biggest thing I don't like about lightweight frame bows, there's a noticeable feel in between like the compound bows, the precision bows, and the lightweight ones. The lightweight ones doesn't feel like it's doing damage. Like, just to me anyway, like whenever I use one, it just doesn't, there's no impact, there's no oomph behind it. And part of using a weapon is the feel of it.
Yeah.
So if you don't feel like you're doing damage, your mind's like, oh, you gotta swap to something else.
Yeah, the only one that I ever really cared to use, I mean, some of the legendary ones in PvP, yes, but we're talking more about PvE here right now. And of course, Tiku's is fun. It's fun, but it also has some built-in effects that make it feel useful compared to the others.
Or like it has oomph.
Yes, exactly.
Like you want to feel like you're doing something, not just like.
Which it does mention it later, but this does affect Tiku's. By the way, Tiku's is going to be buffed by this, so.
Which is nice. It's getting this buff on top of another one, so.
Yeah, 100%. Hand cannons. It's just Dire Promise. Fixed Dire Promise's zoom stat got changed to 13 inadvertently. It's now 14 again, so that's cool. Glaives. This is Glaives getting buffed. Oh boy. The interactions.
More like Glaives finding their identity.
Look, I love glaives in PvP. They're cool, but man, they're such a pain in the butt right now. Their interactions with some exotic armor pieces can be confusing, so we've explicitly made some changes to align better with our stated goals. Glaive melee attacks can now activate the exotic armor perks on ACDO Feedback Fence, Karnstein Armlets, and Necrotic Grips, so that's cool.
Yeah, Necrotic Grips on...
Necrotic Grips.
Nasty.
That's going to be gross. Yeah.
That one should be reevaluated. Because if you're able just to run up and smack someone and then everyone has poison now, it's like,
Oh, no, my personal favorite is somebody online I saw that has one of the crafting glaives with Grave Robber on it, and Grave Robber reloads it. Just go up and shoot something, and then slap something, and shoot something more.
Yeah. Well, there's Warlock's got a couple different ones. They have the Vampiric Grasps, and they have there's like Fellwinter's Gauntlets or something that does this it powers up your melee, and eventually it's going to be working with the glaives as well. So that could be one-shotting with there's the swinging a glaive.
Nothing Manacles, Ophidians, not Sunbracers, Winter's Guile.
There it is.
So yeah, they're cool looking too. Those look cool.
Oh yeah, that's the downside with some of these exotics. Like they look great and they have some decent functionality. You just never see them get used.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Breach grenade launchers, concussion grenades can no longer roll on the magazine slot. Blinding grenades are a better option in the same slot that serves the same purpose. Yeah,
Smart.
Always,
all around smart choice.
Yeah, that honestly that makes getting like that. It just takes some of the fish out of the pool, right? Like that you don't want to catch. Nobody wants to be catching crappie in a pond full of salmon.
I mean it's one thing that's like, the hope for a god roll, like the pool is limited to a certain amount of things anyway, and just to get that one thing, like I really wanted blinding nades, like, well,
too bad.
Taking that out reduces their chances of getting a not god roll without blinding nades. Snipe says, I'm also looking forward to the Dares of Eternity weapons getting an intrinsic perk. Hopefully they become a craftable item as well. I think in the future we'll probably see that. But I'd like for them to see that the content get a little bit. I like to see those weapons kind of get more of a bigger perk pool.
It's always been rumored because ever since we've had weapon crafting, the BXR, the battle rifle, has had enhanced traits in the UI. So that leads everyone to believe that it's coming eventually. It's the only one. None of the others did. Forerunner or the Wastelander, like none of those did. That'd be great. I am, however, going to be so frustrated because I've probably completed 12 to 15 red BXRs, and
I'll just save them. Put them in your vault. Just wait for it.
Oh yeah, no, they're gone, bro. They're gone. Yeah. I had to clean that vault at some point. Moving on.
You gotta clean it at the beginning of the season when you get the extra perks. We're going to read here in a minute that it was a couple weeks ago. They said, Forgotten Smith, they're reworking the amount of materials you get back and how much experience you get with him. So I've loaded up my vault.
Well, yeah, at that point, yes. But yes, at that point, yes, absolutely. Like I like the last week, I'll start storing, putting all the legendary stuff in there that I'm not going to use. The Destiny Item Manager has a wonderful tab. Basically, you can click on all the items and put a symbol on them, and you can make them set them for junk, and then you just hit the button to add all your junk items to your inventory, so you can just delete them or whatever. So that's interesting. Last one for the weapons, heavy grenade launchers. They don't see a ton of support in PvE, so we hope this makes them feel a little bit better as a DPS or yellow bar clearing option. Increase damage versus majors and above by 10%, excluding Parasite, which doesn't need any more damage. So that's good. Then that's what we're talking about. That's also going to go to Anarchy.
I feel like it's not enough.
10%'s not much. That's minuscule.
But even so, think about it. The effective range of a grenade launcher is not that far away. You're looking at maybe fusion rifle range.
Yeah,
that's mid range. That's a comfortable mid range.
Right.
When you're doing high end content like GMs, you want to keep that distance, and rocket launchers are a better option.
Right.
Sure, it could be argued that rocket launchers could kill you, but so can GLs.
Yeah.
It's just, what would you rather have, a bigger boom or 6 tiny balls shooting out?
It's interesting. Again, the reason Wendigoon was so useful was because of the fact that it had explosive light on it, which is on rocket launchers now, funnily enough. The only other thing that really makes GLs useful, and not even today by today's standards, because we haven't seen one roll with this in a while, but that was full court. Full court was great. Basically, the longer the shot went before it hit the target, it basically got more damage, and that was nice. Back in the day, we had the Doomsday grenade launcher full court spike grenades, and that was a melting machine. It outperformed Wendigoon
by a lot,
pretty readily. Yeah. So
the other thing I would venture to say that we're not seeing very much of is I think there's one craftable one, if I'm not mistaken.
Tarnation
grenade launcher,
or not Tarnation?
Yeah.
No, is it Tarnation?
I off the top of my head, I do not remember the name, but I want to say there's at least one. But then we don't have an adapt grenade launcher. Like having adapt mods could be
that would be helpful.
An equalizer as well. You feel me? It's just there's not enough good options out there, and until they decide to double down and like, okay, so we're gonna give this one out, and here it is as an adapt version with some really good perks. Or build a couple and here, have adapt explosive light with adapt full core. Like, oh yeah, that becomes a monster.
But it is Tarnation.
But until they do that, we're not going to be seeing any, meta runs with grenade launchers.
Go ahead.
It says actually all of the dev weapons are showing up as craftable. Dare's weapons are showing up as craftable. They've showed up at the beginning of this season. That's cool.
I'm looking at Tarnation right now. Yeah, and the only thing it's got, like, it's got that danger close perk, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, but you have to be close.
You got to be really close, and then chain reaction, which again is just better on breach grenade launchers. It's just better.
Yeah.
Because chain reaction is not a DPS option.
It's a wave clear.
Yeah.
And that's what they're saying here too. It's like, oh, it's better for clearing yellow bars. Who's clearing with a grenade launcher and then using double primaries to chunk down a boss?
I don't think there are any GLs right now that aren't Sunset that have
with solid perk pulls.
Yeah.
And that might be something that they're looking to balance in the future, because they've already done a rocket launcher as a ritual weapon. They just did a machine gun was this season. We're probably going to end up seeing a heavy grenade launcher later. And honestly, that could be a viable option.
Yeah,
they just haven't been viable. We've been in this weird like linear and rocket fusion meta for these last couple of months. But
so I'm looking right now, and you can go to the moon. Near Eris and get the Love and Death grenade launcher that does roll with full court and auto-loading even. And clown cartridge instead of auto-loading. Dang, that actually is pretty useful. But so yeah.
And isn't that arc?
It is solar.
Oh, okay. I was to say that could actually be viable for next season if those perk combinations hold together.
It'd be interesting. Keep an eye out just from Zur because the interference grenade launcher is arc, and it also rolls full court. It hasn't been in the pool for a while, but it's not Sunset, so that means that it can drop at Zur. So, anyways, but then I'm looking at all these others, right? And we've got we've got the Batsam42. No, nothing. Memory interdict. No, we got the Canis. The Canis Major. Which was interesting as a solar option. It had some okay rolls because it had like clown cartridge Vorpal, so that's interesting. But it's a rapid fire frame, which is the least useful. And I'm saying all of this, and we're saying all of this to say, just not as good as linear fusion rifles or rocket launchers. It's just not as good.
And I mean, honestly, they this could be a telling sign that they're going to be giving us some better stuff up that pipeline.
Yeah.
But, we're just speculating because we have no idea what's coming up next.
Here's something I will say. Again, they are useful as add clear options, right? That seems to be what they're used for, much like LMGs. LMGs are better as add clear options than they are for DPS. So if you're doing a mission, let's say next season we have champion mods for snipers again, then what will happen is you'll need a primary weapon, a sniper, and then you might want to use something for add clear because you're not going to have that like you typically would in your primary slots. So something like that, but I don't know. Right now we're just kind of riffing. They're getting a little buff. Cool. I agree with Sam. 10% is minuscule.
In the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Let's get through this.
Weapon pools. Updated the perk pools for the Dares of Eternity weapons and added an origin trait. What's that? They're doing that? What? Is that?
Yeah.
Is that? We know somebody that's excited about that?
Funny enough, they don't tell you what it is.
Well, no, of course not. They won't. Addressed an issue where playlists Crucible Gambit Strike weapons were not randomizing individual perk column perk counts correctly based on the number of resets. Thank you. I'm glad you noticed. I did too. Mm-hmm. Being a guy that does nothing but farm Crucible, like, oof. I have prestiged my Shacks about to be 14 times this season. I know.
Crazy.
I know. But every now and then I get a weapon like it's just like regular like one perk. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's cool, I guess.
Crazy.
Moving on, perks. The Gambit and Iron Banner origin traits were too specific to be generally useful, so they've been redesigned. Invader Tracker, the Gambit origin trait, has been renamed Gun and Run. Redesigned functionality to give a sprint speed increase on multi-kills. Very cool. Skulking Wolf, redesigned to activate on kills while at low health, so it will work in all PvP now, which is also very cool. I'm excited about this one. Ambitious Assassin has fallen behind perks with similar functionality such as Overflow. We've adjusted this to have a higher potential than before. Increased magazine overflow from 10% to 20% per kill on primary weapons only. Specials and heavies are still 10%, but increased overflow cap from 50% to 150%. Sam, what is that? I'm trying to remember the name of that. The grenade launcher. That was the
ignition code, or we're talking? It's the one that from the one season.
The Salvager Salvo.
Yes, that ran with the Ambitious Assassin.
It's Arc, and it's got Ambitious Assassin. So, does this mean that it can overflow to like 3 or 4 grenades now?
I feel like that would be hilarious.
Not only that, the
it'll still run with chain reaction.
yeah, exactly. And I have a forbearance from the Val raid with Ambitious Assassin and chain reaction.
There you go.
That's a wave frame, so that'll be interesting. That'll be very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. I'm excited for that. Moving on. Wellspring had an internal cooldown to prevent it from activating too frequently. We no longer feel this is needed. Cooldown has been removed, allowing for rocket launchers and grenade launchers to return with more ability energy when defeating groups and with a single shot. That's cool. Perpetual motion was triggering frequently enough to be annoying, so we disabled the audio-visual feedback on perk activation. So, not changing it, they're just disabling, just making it to where you don't really know it's been activated, you know? I don't know. Weird.
Like, that should be a setting that we could adjust ourselves.
Right.
With some people that might not have made an issue. Some people, like for PvE or PvP, that could be an issue, just depending on how much you're using it. But, yeah, no, I see it.
Lead from Gold wasn't respecting the functionality of splitting the special ammo picked up when 2 special weapons were equipped. Now gives the correct amount of ammo to each weapon when 2 special weapons are equipped.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Actually, I really like that perk.
Lead from Gold's great.
I have Lead from Gold on a sniper rifle with osmosis, and it slaps.
Yeah, I've got Lead from Gold firing line on a sniper rifle. I've got my Lead from Gold Vorpal Cartesian. I also have a Lead from Gold Vorpal Riptide from Crucible. Yeah, great. The concussion grenades again can no longer roll breach and clear grenade launchers. Great. Viced Stinger was intended to grant ammo on weapons that support it and charge draw time to bows only. This was inadvertently applying to linear fusions as well, making it too strong for an origin trait on them. Fixed a bug, or it was applying a charge time reduction to LFRs. It will correctly only refill the magazine from reserves when it triggers on these weapons. Ooh.
I feel like adapt traits could eventually become a thing.
That would be interesting, actually.
Because what if that's how they fix raid weapons? You keep the same perks, but you get the adapt trait.
Yeah. There's a bunch of ways. I mean, adept weapons, again, they've just kind of fallen behind.
Or you can still build adapt weapons with the adapt perks, and only adapt weapons can run with adapt traits. I would run for them. I would go for it.
Adept traits, yes, that would make them
But only they can run with it.
Yes, only the adept weapons. Yes, I'm okay with that.
No, I'd farm it. I'd have a god roll submissions immediately.
Yeah.
No, I'm down.
Yeah. We'll see. I think they'll end up having to do something.
I feel like we're going to find out really soon.
Yes, I do too.
The next drop.
With the next raid, we do know that there's going to be a master version of it. We know this. They've already verified that. So likely there will likely be adept weapons for this raid.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they need to do something. Zen Moment has always had a description that confused players. Particle Repeater 2. Their descriptions have been updated to say what they actually do. So Zen Moment basically says landing shots increases the stability. But really all it does is landing shots actually just reduces the screen shake, if you will.
It makes it feel like you're shooting a laser.
Yes. What's interesting is they say Particle Repeater too. Particle Repeater is a battery for fusion rifles, very popular for PvP because increasing stability on fusion rifles, stability is king on fusion rifles inside of PvP, I mean. That's interesting because, so Particle Repeater did the same thing. So, so they're going to update that. Moving on to exotic buffs. Hey, what is this? We've added anti-champion functionality to several weapons with the goal of giving more options. The Monarch added intrinsic overload to poison arrows.
Yeah, but Thunderlord's getting overload rounds, buddy. That's the weapon that you've heard me talk about constantly that I don't care about. Freaking Monarch is getting overload rounds. Dude, overload champions have no chance.
Dude,
now.
Master Lost Sectors are going to be so easy. So easy.
As one arrow puts the champion down twice. That poison tick is so long.
Well, it's just using any other overload round against it's very specifically fallen overload champions. They suck. They suck so bad. I hate them. If the Master Lost Sector is fallen and it's got overload champions, I won't do it.
Between the fallen and the not taken. The other one. The Scorn. Scorn, I feel like, is the worst.
Oh, no, I don't mind those.
Because they don't ever sit still.
Yeah. Well, the champions are teleporting around all the day long.
If you're standing in their way, they stay invisible. I was doing not a dares. I was doing a nightmare containment the other day, and I threw my grenade in. They all turned invisible and ran around, so I threw a grenade right at my feet and just kind of stood there. They all stayed invisible. And started running into me and wouldn't come out of being invisible until I moved out of the way, let them leave the room till they weren't taking damage, then popped up. That's cheating. That's so dumb. We need to have a way of fixing that, or at least beating them out.
I would like to
see a couple seconds.
What pisses me off is whenever they go invisible, they can walk through a Witherhoard shot on the ground.
Yeah,
just walk through it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Did you just turn into Casper the Friendly Ghost?
Well, so here's the thing I want to see. I want to see, because obviously it's an ability of the Scorn. I want to see that on a timer. That only lasts for 3 or 4 seconds, where they can do that.
I would love to see.
So if you're able to pin them in a corner, doesn't matter. You're dead. I'm gonna shoot Witherhoard and I'm gonna stand here until it actually hits you. But whatever. I hate the Scorn. So a bunch of these weapons are getting intrinsic perks, making them more viable. Monarch is one of them, getting Overload. Thunderlord getting one that is also Overload. Malfeasance is going to get Unstoppable on its explosions. So that's 5 shots
with a
leading to the
rapid-fire
explosion,
hand cannon, precision,
which is awesome. Adds 25 to the airborne effectiveness. Stat was 28, now brings it up to 53.
They're just bringing it in line with other precision hand cannons.
Yeah, so honestly, I've seen damage tests done with Malfeasance, and it's outstanding. Mm-hmm. And then now that it's getting intrinsic, unstoppable on a solid hand cannon, that's going to be worth it to bring into stuff.
Malfeasance X Lucky Pants is pristine for taking
for sure.
GMs and stuff. So, Wishender also getting anti-barrier, which is that's kind of cool. I mean, realistically, let's be real. They're just
We have to give something.
Nobody uses this thing. Like,
not anymore. The wall hacks were too good early game, and now they don't have the wall hacks anymore. It's like, it's done.
It's like, we never go to the Dreaming City anymore. That's really the only place that mattered. So yeah, this is good. They also increased its damage overall versus champions, majors, and mini bosses by 10%. Again, small, but it's okay. Draw time decreased from 828 milliseconds to 820. Just bring it down a little bit. Tiku's gets the free buff for the lightweight changes. We already talked about that. Legend of Acreus has fallen far behind other heavies, short-ranged weapons, and warrants a buff. Catalyst now grants Trench Barrel in addition to its other effects.
That's not going to save it.
It's not going to help it much. Different versions of the exotic paired legendary weapons didn't have matching stats, so we have brought them up to parity. It's not really going to help. The Callus Mini Tool increased its airborne effectiveness from 23 to 28 to match Mida Mini Tool. Mida Mini Tool increased Zoom from 13 to 14 to match Callus Mini Tool. Drain Baroque increased airborne effectiveness from 21 to 23 to match standard Drain. Sweet Business increased airborne effectiveness from 27 to 32.
Gotta be that attack Apache, man. Gotta float in the air with a minigun.
I hope to God I see a Titan with land rampants just gliding around, just
dual wielding.
Oh my God! Shut up with your dual wielding. God,
one day it'll happen. One day, and I'll point back to all these videos.
No,
legend.
Good
it happens.
Night. Fighting Lion deserved a buff apparently. Fighting Lion's Season 17 5% damage buff was rolled back as part of the fix for a larger bug. This is being reintroduced and increased. Now receives the intended buff, increased from 5% to 8%. Increased the grace time for the instant reload effect of Thin to Herd from 5 seconds to 6 seconds. So, there you go.
Fighting Lion's only real claim to fame here was it's a grenade launcher that uses primary ammo.
Yes.
That's cool and all. What else does it do? Can you give it blinding nades and a catalyst? No, we'll give it faster reload though. And that's kind of it. It was there before Mountaintop, and then Mountaintop was just way better. It's fallen from grace. There's no reason to run it.
Of course, Mountaintop was a special though, so.
Exactly. But again, this thing's claim to fame is it uses primary ammo. You can now have an infinite supply of Fighting Lion.
Yeah,
but
that's
it
been the
doesn't
problem.
do anything. Give it some more utility. Put blinding nades on it in the catalyst, and that's going to be worth it. An infinite supply of blinding grenades would actually be worth giving up an exotic slot for.
Oh, you're talking about inside of PvE?
Yeah.
I don't want to see that happen. Because infinite blinding nades in PvP, no.
Which is why I'm assuming they haven't done that yet.
No.
So it's a PvP weapon.
It's a PvP weapon. Exactly.
So,
moving on. Speaking of PvP weapons, Lord of Wolves, you can get effed, bro. Lord of Wolves has long been a thorn in the side of PvP players, especially when paired with certain exotic armor pieces. We have changed the amount of ammo it starts with and reduced the damage dealt to players. This is part of a larger rework aimed at making it a more viable PvE exotic without increasing its effectiveness in PvP. So, decrease starting ammo in PvP from 15 to 10. Unchanged in PvE. Reduce the burst size shots fired per trigger pull from 10 to 5 shots when Release the Wolves is active. Reduce the burst delay, the time between bursts, by 60% when Release the Wolves is active. Decreased Lord of Wolves base damage by 20%, now deals 35 per shot to the body in PvP, 44 when Release the Wolves is active. Increased damage in PvE by 20% to compensate. Now, interestingly enough, if you happen to have watched Astacross's video, he did in fact say that he thinks that this is actually, low-key, a buff. Yes, it's absolutely getting buffed in PvE.
Yeah.
But the point is, this is when Release the Wolves is active. Nobody in PvP used Release the Wolves. They used the other firing form.
Maybe that's why it never worked for me.
So the only thing that they're doing to it is reducing the ammo that you start with. That's really it. Which is a nerf. Ish.
Yeah. Anytime you take bullets away from a gun, it's going to be nerf.
But that's really it. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see. I don't know. part of what made it so broken was people running around invisible because of Omnioculus. Omnioculus also got touched. They said specifically, especially when paired with a certain exotic armor piece. So, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know that this is enough yet, but we'll see. DMT, the cranial spike perk, was causing issues with unintended damage scalars against players and generally felt unpredictable both to use and to fight against. It also wasn't quite landing the hip-firing cowboy rifle fantasy as strongly as we wanted to, so we're reworked it to lean more into the fast-firing hip-fire. Changed cranial spike's effect. No longer buffs damage versus players, instead grants increased reload speed, aim assist, and range per stack. Still grants additional damage versus PvE combatants. Upon reaching max stats of Cranial Spike, the Catalyst will now increase hipfire RPM by 50, i.e. it will fire at 180 RPM, but will deal reduced damage per bullet 20% decrease. So, this is actually, I think, a pretty big buff for DMT. The damage stuff, great. All of that, great. But with the increases to the buffs to other scout rifles in PvP, DMT kind of fell behind. Making it so, you have to remember what Cranial Spike does. Cranial Spike, it adds a stack for every precision hit. Not kill, hit. Yeah. So, as you stack precision hits, it increases the reload speed, the aim assistance, and the range. That's
great for PvE.
That's really good. I mean, it's like Hawkmoon, like what Hawkmoon's Catalyst does for it. As you increase the damage scale or whatever it's called, it also increases the range and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of reload speed we're talking about, because that is one thing about it, is it reloads really slow because it has dual loader. So we'll see. I'm kind of excited about it.
Looks good.
I know like 3 people personally that have this next one, Collective Obligation. One of them is sitting right here with us right now.
Yeah, it's actually amazing.
Is it?
I was using it in Master Lost Sector the other day, and I was just cleaning up. There was a void burn, and it was just destroying things. But it is getting a pretty nice buff here.
We are aiming to make the exotic perk effects easier to activate and more effective in PvE. Increased Void Leech timer to 15 seconds in PvE activities. PvP remains 10. Remove the cooldown. Added a 20% damage bonus against PvE combatants only while Void Leech is active. Takes less hits to fully charge Void Leech. Kills against debuff targets instantly charge Void Leech. Void Leech is also instantly charged when your character is affected by Void debuffs. Does not work if hitting yourself with your own suppressor nade. Fixed a bug where Umbral Sustenance was activating with non-Void overshield. So,
all right. So here's how this gun really works for me.
It's a mouthful,
right? So when I was using it in the Master Lost Sector, I was running Devour, and I was running Volatile Rounds. And I would go in with the gun equipped, charge a grenade, chuck it around the corner. It would suck all the enemies together and start killing off a few. Procs Devour. Also procced my
Volatile
Rounds. Got a void weapon damage buff. The weapon's already void. It was 25% more void damage in the dungeon. So I just started blasting. Cleaned out the whole room, which caused volatile explosions, and for me to continue healing no matter how much damage I was taking from shooting a champion in the face. Also, it's a pulse rifle. Barrier champions, pulse rifles. Champion comes around the corner, start blasting on him, switch into the alternate firing mode.
Now they're volatile.
Ripped him to shreds. Additionally,
with a primary weapon,
every single hit, not kill, refilled the magazine as long as I had Devour, Volatile, or Suppression activated. I'm always running Devour on my Void class. Just the entire time I was holding the weapon in my hands, I never had to reload it. In the hands of a Warlock, the weapon becomes a non-stoppable killing machine because you always have one of the 3 buffs open. Volatile Rounds, everyone can use, pretty easy, get a Void Grenade kill, done. Even easier on a Warlock because you can charge that grenade up, chuck it out. I was running Nezarec Sin because every void kill I got charged all of my abilities. I was spamming abilities, just made it Lost Sector a cakewalk. This weapon absolutely shreds. This buff gonna make it amazing. It falls off heavily in other kinds of content. If you don't build into this gun, you're not gonna see the returns that I was seeing when I built into it. Most guns are pick up and play. That's the ease of use. That's what you want. Now, you can pick up Gallowhorn and blow up everything. This gun you can pick up like, okay. But you have to run A through Z to get it to work super effectively. Gallowhorn doesn't matter what you're running. You can just do it. So this is going to help it fall more in line with that ease of use, and I think these are good changes.
Yeah, for sure. And of course it does, you have to remember, yes, it is way more effective this season because of anti-barrier rounds on it. But that doesn't mean that this isn't still, like he said, he's building in very specifically for this weapon. And it's niche, right? Because he's also using this as a DPS weapon at that point in time because it's just shredding everything. So very niche. I could imagine, running it with a build, probably honestly using the sword, the void sword or whatever it's called. The whirlwind. But very cool.
And it is kind of a niche thing, but honestly, there's a lot of weapons that require you to do some kind of extensive building into. But to see a weapon like this was pretty fun.
It's maybe the most unique weapon in the game, so far as what it can do.
I would feel it.
Blood says he has awoken.
Good. We'll be raiding soon.
Moving on.
Now, armor.
Look at that beautiful Omni Oculus chest piece. That beautiful, lovely chest piece.
I would love to see a Halloween skin of that with just tons of eyeballs on it.
Just all of the eyeballs.
All the eyeballs.
In update 6.2.0 put one more on this in the version update on the player support section. We will be reducing the effectiveness of damage resistance used by Omni Oculus and Whisper of Chains, and PvP, PvE damage resistance is unchanged. Tier 1, 10% to 2.5%. Tier 2, 15% to 5%. Tier 3, 20% to 7.5. Tier 4, 25 to 10. Holy smokes, dude. So the base damage resistance for what it used to be was 10. That is now the maximum. That is now the maximum resistance. Holy crap, this thing got crapped on.
Specifically for PvP.
Yes, which is fine. I want to
make that point very clear.
I need to see more of this. I really do. I feel like lately it's been a lot of nerfing things into the ground. Totally, and I need to see more of that separation between PvP and PvE.
Like with Geomancers.
Anyways.
Bungie.
Hi, honey.
I'm Mrs. Xcalion.
Things we are looking to address in the future: Season 18 mid-season patch or Season 19. Here we go, reducing shotgun spread randomness. Okay, interesting. Hello, Blood. Reducing bow swapping effectiveness.
Bow swapping? Was there a problem with bow swapping?
In PvP, bow swapping with hand cannons. Specifically Monarch.
I was like, was it just like, it's slow to do
this? Just give it a second. I am 100% sure Snipe is already typing.
Freaking Monarch needs to be freaking removed from the game. Shut up, Snipe.
No, he likes Monarch inside of PvE, but he does get very frustrated by the hot swapping, and I don't blame him.
For sure, I don't blame him either.
It's frustrating.
It is bad.
Increased trace rifle ease of use. That's interesting and okay. Introducing the full auto setting. I had said I had made a video. I released a couple of short 1 minute videos lately, last couple of days. And let me tell you, the first one I released was on the sniper that Banshee released last week. Because they changed the perks halfway through the week or after Wednesday or whatever for whatever reason. And that video is doing really well. I woke up today, and at this point in time, in the last 24 hours, have gained 10 followers on YouTube. So great. I released another one today for the grid skipper that Zura's selling right now. That one's also doing really good. I said in the grid skipper video, that the full auto setting was coming next season. So to be realistic, this says Season 18 mid-season patch or Season 19. I really hope they do something with that full auto setting pretty quick, so I can get back to using.
It's a mod right now, so they're just gonna like put it intrinsically to every gun where it's like, oh, full auto.
No, it'll be a setting in your settings.
Oh, nice.
That you can turn on. Yeah. So.
I like it.
Yeah, it'll be good. Reducing the ability of snipers to shoot through flinch in PvP. Okay. Examining some small targeted balance changes to certain PvP outliers. Pulse rifles without the band of effectiveness. High impact scout rifles, ease of use. Precision fusion rifle, ease of use. Those precision fusion rifles are already pretty easy to use, bro. I don't know.
Yeah.
Allowing glaive interactions with some exotic armors that buff melees. Fixing glaive hit detection. Reworking some enhanced perks, folding spec mods into base perks. That's interesting. What does that mean? Folding spec mods into base perks.
Spec mods, wouldn't they be just like the
Rampage spec, Surrounded spec,
and they're just getting what, full mods spec?
I don't know what full
into base
perks. So that's the thing. They already have perks. So what if...
No. So that means instead of like, you know, how Rampage spec would make it last longer, maybe they're just going to intrinsically just make Rampage last longer.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm down for that. Yeah,
well,
just get rid of those.
If that's what it does, great. I don't know what that means. Like,
no,
if that means we're just buffing the perks, then great.
Yeah, because why would you? I mean, everyone sockets like 2 mods. It's like counterbalance, extra ammo, boss spec. Like these 3 are pretty much it. Unless you're super high end PvP, and you're going to utilize like full action sling, or just whatever random ones that you're going to throw at the wall. If you don't, it's not an adapt weapon, then you're going to run something that gives you damage or just makes the gun feel better. These perks would make it feel better if they had better spots. Honestly, you don't really see a lot of Rampage weapons anymore.
I use them from time to time. Dragonfly spec, that's maybe
it's getting overshadowed by Firefly. So
I guess we'll see. Moving on. That's pretty much it.
We're pretty much done.
Let me scroll down. I don't think he says anything. Ta-da! This week's TWA means we only have one more TWA before the season ends. Then we jump into our showcase on August 23rd. We do want to remind you, we are starting to vote for the exotic ornament on August 16th. That's going to be reset this week.
Yeah, 3 more days. Yeah.
So please go check your last week's TWA if you missed the details, and if you are wondering when you're going to get some ARC 3.0 info, this is coming soon. Ish to Bungie.net page near you. We know you want to know all things, but soon Guardians will be here before you know it. So what that tells me is they'll release something on ARC 3.0 on their actual No, I don't think so. I think he said before you know it. So I think that maybe sometime this week or something they'll probably end up just releasing something right here on the news section on Bungie.net. So
hopefully.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, but that's that.
Yeah.
Very interesting, some of the stuff that they're doing. You love to see some of these, especially the anti-champion intrinsic.
Oh, for sure.
Buffs.
And I feel like this is a good direction for them to go in, too.
Yeah.
With all of the new changes coming to the game, and with like certain exotics kind of feeling like less impactful, it's really nice to see specific weapons getting more of a shine. It gives them more viability. It uses up, like, Gallahorn is almost a must for a lot of people. One of our guys in our clan was going around and LFGing for GMs this whole week, and if you didn't have Gallahorn, they didn't want you.
Boy, does that sound familiar.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like old days, but that's because the team that he was running into, the teams were already set up for whatever. They just needed someone to proc their extra damage. That makes sense. Plus, it's a pretty easy weapon to obtain, but it is locked behind like kind of not a pay barrier, but you had to have that dungeon. So yeah, I think giving weapons these intrinsic perks are going to give them more longevity. You're going to see them for different reasons, and I feel like this is a way of being able to give them a stealth nerf. Take out, like, if Monarch is doing so well in PvP, and then they give it viability more so in PvE, Now they're free to nerf it slightly. And like, oh, well, I can still use it for PvE. All right, that makes more sense. And then bang. They kind of just hit you with the compliment, smackdown, then compliment again.
Yeah.
Like, I hope that's not the case, but honestly, that's how it could feel sometimes. But then other weapons, they just straight up need more utility. Thunderlord is one of them. Thunderlord just does not have good damage output. And honestly, giving an overload, it is a really good ad clearing weapon. If Sniper meta comes back next season, like Legend was saying, we could see the rise of you needing a good ad clear be a viable option. So it just kind of depends on what we're looking at. I think these changes are pretty good.
Yeah.
I like where we're headed. Very excited for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Arc should be
It's going to be interesting.
soon.
It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
I do think they could. I would hope like every season we get a batch of new catalysts added to the game, and I know we talked about Anarchy earlier. I don't think Anarchy's coming anytime soon.
No, for sure.
But potentially like for Thunderlord, honestly, you want to make it like it's already a great ad clear option. It really is. It's good for trash mobs.
Mm-hmm.
Enhance it. Give it chain reaction too.
Yeah.
Like there you go.
No, it already drops those thunderbolts. Has feeding frenzy on it, and it's a really fast weapon too. Yeah, giving it chain reaction with just another way of chaining the lightning it already has. But then, honestly, it'd be too good of an option, and you wouldn't be using what's it called? What's that SMG that I'm thinking of that chains lightning together whenever you take damage? Well, I guess that'd be the reason to keep it. Risk Runner.
Yeah.
Risk Runner would be still a reason to keep around because for the defense, but yeah.
Anarchy
That's what I was saying, Blood.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
Anarchy should give it plus 10 ammo.
And that's it. Just gives you ammo.
Yeah, it could be interesting. But yeah, we'll see. I'm excited. We're very close. And again, ready to see what new weapons we get. Again, all year they've been really killing it. I think with the weapon designs, with the, I think the armor. While we still had some trash armor, I think the designs overall have been better this year.
Yes and no, but yes.
I mean, I say overall, like
right.
Like again, there's still been trash armor. Don't get me wrong, but I do actually. The vow of the Disciple raid armor has grown on me. I hated it at first. I kind of love it now. I really do.
Does your mask have like weird little tingly things off the side?
No, because I'm not a warlock. But
I know. It's just like gears grinding in your eyes. Yeah,
exactly. But yeah,
I was hoping for like pyramid armor, not
the skull stuff is very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah. So
well, we'll see. We do, of course, in this next season, we will have the Halloween event. So we have that to look forward to.
Gonna be a freaking.
Gonna be a Gundam.
I'm gonna be what's the Evangelion guy?
Ava Unit 1.
Yeah, I'm gonna always be playing Evangelion when I join the chat now.
You gonna be playing that music?
That's
so funny. I made a TikTok video that had that song in it.
Yeah, copyright strike. Immediately. No, TikTok's cool about that. But it's Chinese.
it's not Chinese. They don't care about that. Blood says hell yeah. Hell yeah, Blood. Hell yeah. But yeah, that's it. Sam, do you have anything else you wanted to cover?
No, we've gone long enough.
An hour in, okay. We'll save the other stuff you were talking about for next week in case it is a lighter twab again. So it's very cool. Thank God that gun right there, Lord of Wolves, is getting crapped on. You'd love to see it. But yeah, I guess that's really it. I'm Xcalion.
Yeah, I'm Batsam. We're gonna go raid, and we'll catch y'all